Yeah, this a big up, this one's for Greg. Straight from the rain and every champion well. Him a reggae lover, the real Dan Dada. Winnie this champ and the bike race master.
The Jurisdictional Paradox, Courts Not of Record, Constitutional Rights, and the Presumption of Legal Personhood by Bard Justice. Overview of the Jurisdictional Paradox. The American legal system is lauded for its foundational commitment to justice, constitutional safeguards, and the rule of law. Yet beneath its structured layers lies a critical tension, a jurisdictional paradox that challenges the very principles of fairness and individual rights. This paradox is most evident in courts not of record, where procedural expediency often supersedes constitutional adherence. Courts not of record operate as administrative tribunals or lower-level state courts, handling a vast number of cases involving statutory and regulatory infractions. Despite their limited authority, these courts wield significant power to impose fines, revoke licenses, and enforce statutory penalties. However, their operations are predicated on a presumption of jurisdiction, an assumption that the individuals appearing before them act as legal persons bound by the statutory framework. This presumption, rarely questioned, often places constitutional rights on the back burner. Adding complexity to this paradox is the role of the judiciary. Judges in courts not of record, like all judges, take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. Yet these judges are bound by structural and jurisdictional constraints that prevent them from addressing constitutional claims. This creates a stark contradiction. How can one uphold a constitution they are powerless to enforce? This fundamental tension is the cornerstone of what we term the jurisdictional paradox. Purpose and scope of the book. This book aims to demystify the operations of courts not of record while shedding light on their profound implications for constitutional rights. By understanding the role of legal personhood, the presumption of jurisdiction, and the limitations of administrative authority, readers will gain a clearer picture of how these courts fit into the broader judicial framework. Importantly, this book also serves as a guide for individuals seeking to assert their rights within these often overlooked legal arenas. We will explore the following. 1. How courts not of record operate under statutory and administrative frameworks. 2. The presumption of legal personhood and its implications for constitutional rights. 3. Practical strategies for challenging jurisdiction and asserting natural personhood. 4. Reforms and policy recommendations to address the growing reliance on administrative adjudication. How courts not of record operate under statutory and administrative frameworks. The presumption of legal personhood and its implications for constitutional rights. Practical strategies for challenging jurisdiction and asserting natural personhood. Reforms and policy recommendations to address the growing reliance on administrative adjudication. Whether you are a layperson, a legal scholar, or an advocate for judicial reform, this book offers a roadmap for navigating the intricate tensions between statutory authority and constitutional protections. Structure of the book. The book is divided into 3 primary parts. 1. Foundations, establishing the legal and procedural framework of courts not of record and their jurisdictional limitations. 2. Challenges, exploring the implications of legal personhood, presumption of jurisdiction, and strategies for invoking constitutional rights. 3. Reform, proposing solutions for ensuring constitutional protections and promoting a balanced system of justice. Each chapter builds upon the last, combining theoretical insights with practical applications to equip readers with the knowledge and tools to address the jurisdictional paradox effectively. Call to awareness. The jurisdictional paradox is more than an academic inquiry. It is a call to action. In an era where administrative courts and statutory frameworks dominate the enforcement of laws, it is imperative to safeguard the constitutional rights of individuals. By understanding the dynamics of courts not of record and challenging their overreach, we can contribute to a more equitable and just legal system. Chapter 1. Courts not of record, an administrative framework. Introduction to courts not of record. Courts not of record occupy a critical, though often underappreciated, position in the legal system. From traffic violations to municipal code enforcement, these courts serve as the primary venue for resolving minor disputes and infractions. Their purpose is efficiency, swift adjudication of statutory matters without the procedural and evidentiary complexities that characterize courts of record. Despite their ostensibly limited role, courts not of record wield significant influence over individuals' lives, often imposing penalties or sanctions that can have far-reaching implications. This chapter examines the defining characteristics, jurisdictional boundaries, and operational mechanics of courts not of record. Defining characteristics of courts not of record. 1. No formal record. The defining feature of courts not of record is the absence of a formal record of proceedings. Unlike courts of record, which maintain transcripts and detailed documentation, these courts handle cases without producing binding precedents or comprehensive records. Appeals, when allowed, are generally tried de novo in a higher court, effectively resetting the case. 2. Streamlined procedures. Courts not of record are designed for expediency. Proceedings are often informal, with relaxed evidentiary standards and abbreviated timelines. While this can reduce costs and administrative burdens, it also creates an environment where constitutional safeguards may be overlooked. 3. Statutory focus. These courts derive their authority exclusively from statutory and administrative law. Their jurisdiction is limited to specific matters delineated by legislative enactments, such as traffic violations, local ordinance infractions, and small claims disputes. B. Limited jurisdiction. 1. Scope of authority. Courts not of record typically have subject matter jurisdiction over minor regulatory and statutory violations. For example, traffic courts enforce motor vehicle laws and issue penalties for violations. Municipal courts handle local ordinance violations such as noise complaints or zoning infractions. Administrative tribunals address disputes involving licenses, permits, and compliance with regulatory statutes. Lack of constitutional jurisdiction. One of the most significant limitations of these courts is their inability to adjudicate constitutional claims. Issues such as due process violations, equal protection claims, or Fourth Amendment challenges must be raised in courts of record, leaving individuals in courts not of record without recourse to assert fundamental rights. 3. De novo appeals. Decisions made in courts not of record are often subject to de novo appeals, meaning that a higher court reviews the case as if the original proceeding never occurred. While this provides a second chance for defendants, it underscores the limited procedural and legal weight of these courts' decisions. C. The judicial oath versus statutory boundaries. 1. The paradox of the oath. Judges in courts not of record take the same oath as their counterparts in courts of record, swearing to uphold the U.S. Constitution. However, the statutory framework within which they operate often precludes them from addressing constitutional challenges. This structural limitation creates a paradox. Judges are bound to uphold a document they cannot enforce. 2. Implications for defendants. For individuals appearing before these courts, the judicial oath can create a false sense of security. Many defendants assume that constitutional protections automatically apply, only to discover that the court lacks the jurisdiction to address their claims. D. Efficiency versus justice. 1. The push for expediency. The streamlined nature of courts not of record is often justified as a means of reducing the burden on courts of record. By handling minor infractions efficiently, these courts free up resources for more complex cases. However, this efficiency comes at a cost, particularly when it undermines procedural fairness. 2. Impact on constitutional safeguards. The emphasis on efficiency often results in the erosion of constitutional protections. Key rights, such as the right to a jury trial, the right to confront witnesses, and protections against self-incrimination, may be sidelined in favor of expedient resolutions. Case study, traffic court and the presumption of jurisdiction. Consider a common scenario in traffic court. A driver is cited for speeding and ordered to appear before a local court not of record. Upon arrival, the court operates under the assumption that the driver is a legal person subject to motor vehicle statutes. The driver is not informed of their right to challenge this presumption and is instead presented with two options: plead guilty or contest the citation within the statutory framework. If the driver attempts to raise constitutional objections, such as questioning the validity of the traffic stop or asserting their right to due process, they are often dismissed as irrelevant. the court's focus remains firmly on the statutory violation, leaving constitutional issues unaddressed. Conclusion: courts not of record are an essential but deeply flawed component of the American legal system. Their limited jurisdiction and streamlined procedures are designed to promote efficiency, yet they often do so at the expense of justice and constitutional protections. By understanding the operational mechanics of these courts, we can begin to address the challenges they pose and advocate for reforms that preserve the balance between statutory enforcement and constitutional rights.
Not fear, no fear. Rolling at the place and victory in sea. Riding all day, all night, no tire. Rear view in the glasses, in my soul on fire. Rear view king, in my roll through the town. Jamaican mountain, up and down Blue Mountain coffee. Him bring fit the crew from yard to Virginia. Him love always true. Veteran in Jamaica, them a hail him up. Me man Craig a little ganja in 9 cup. Pedaling pon the hills like lion him roar. He make the locals smile, them a count him more. The vibes it a strong, in spirit it free. Tickling through the yard, man Craig a legend for we. My brother in vibes, a soul so bright. Rear view vision, him riding at the light. Rear view king, him a roll through the town. Jamaican mountain, up and down Blue Mountain coffee. Him